It says use the definition of derivative to find the derivative of each function with respect to x. All right, so you're really just finding first derivative here. So you can use your shortcuts, that's fine. So for this first one, you're going to take your exponent, multiply it through, subtract 1 from the exponent, and you're going to do that all the way across. So if I were to find the derivative of this, I would say 2 times -3 would give me -6. X to the first power, the 2 drops to 1. 1 times 4 is 4, and then the exponent drops to 0. And then that 4 zeroes out completely. And so this is my derivative here. So go ahead and do number 2. The next one are just the same exact thing, but you're going to have to rewrite them first. So when you see, as you go on through this packet, you'll see that they're all mixed in. But this is just examples of ones that you would have to rewrite. So for this first one, I would rewrite this x to the 2/5 before I actually did my derivative here. And then once I rewrote it, I would do a derivative and do the same thing. 2/5 times the -1, -2/5. X, I have to subtract 1 from this. What is 1 in terms of a denominator of 5? It's 5/5, right? And so I get x to the what? -3/5. Now this is the one where I do not want you to leave it alone. A negative does put it in the denominator. So it's -2 over 5 x to the 3/5. You can leave it as a fraction if you want, or you can put it back 5th square root of 3. I don't care, but on this one is in the denominator. And so in the denominator, you are going to rewrite it to the negative power. So you're going to say this is 5x to the -2. That's not taking the derivative yet. That is just rewriting it. So now I'm going to multiply by the -2 and subtract 1. And again, I don't want you to leave it with a negative. So you would say -10 over x cubed. That is my y prime. These are 2 that we talked about in, I think, the first section. Average rate of change versus instantaneous rate of change. Average rate of change is what you've always done. This is the slope formula. You're going to take your y's, subtract those, take your x's, subtract those. For instantaneous, you are going to take the derivative and just plug in your x. All right, so for this first one, I already know my x's. What they've given me here are my 2 x's, x1 and x2. I need my y's. How do I find my y if I know my x? Plug it in. So the first y is if I plug in a 2. 2 squared minus 2 minus 1. That's my first x. So I have 4 minus 2 minus 1. Gives me what? 1. So this is my first y. My second y is going to be what happens when I plug in a 3. 3 squared minus 3 minus 1. So I have 9 minus 4 gives me 5. That's my second y. And then I'm just going to do my slope formula. Remember your slope formula. It's just your subtraction of your y's over the subtraction of your x's. So I'm going to say y2, that's 5, minus y1, that is 1. Over x2, that's 3, minus x1, that's 2. So my average rate of change here is going to be 4. That means that across the entire realm here, from 2 to 3, my average change was 4. The next set of problems is instantaneous rate of change. They want it at an exact point, not over a range, okay? So for this one, I need to find my first, so my first step is to find the derivative. Find the derivative. What is the derivative here? 4x. Once I find my derivative, I plug in my value. 4 times that 0. My instantaneous rate of change is 0 there. So go ahead and do 6 and 8. All right, so the product rule. You do need to know this for the product rule. It's going to be the derivative of the first one times the second one plus the first one derivative of the second one. That is your product rule. So I like to label mine. If this is f of x, then that means that this is g of x, which means my f prime is going to be 4x, and my g prime is going to be 20x to the fourth. And from that point, I'm just going to plug it in. So I'm going to say f prime of x, that's 4x, times my g of x, that's my 4x to the fifth plus 4. You do have a plus there. Then f of x, the way it is originally, times g prime of x. And then you're just going to distribute and simplify. So distribute your 4x through. Distribute your 20x through. And then see if there's anything you can simplify. You do have like terms, 16 and 40 give you 56 x to the sixth. 60 cannot combine with anything. And 16 cannot combine with anything. And so this would be your final answer here. 56x to the sixth, 60x to the fourth, 16x. So go ahead and do number 10. Quotient rule is very similar. You do the derivative of the top times the bottom the way it is. You subtract, and then you do the top derivative of the bottom. And then it has a denominator, which is just the bottom function squared. So if we look at this one, if the top is my f of x, then f prime of x is going to be 4x cubed. If the bottom is my g of x, then g prime of x is going to be 16x cubed. So we're going to do it exactly according to the formula. We're going to say 4x cubed times 4x to the fourth plus 2. We are subtracting here. And then x to the fourth plus 5. 16x cubed. And that is all over the 4x to the fourth plus 2 quantity squared. Biggest mistake here is that negative. Okay, so here you're distributing just, quite normally. And you end up with the 16x to the 7th plus 8x cubed, but you are distributing a negative through to the second one. So it's minus 16x to the 7th minus 80x cubed. All right, and that's all over 4x to the fourth plus 2 quantity squared.
And you'll just leave the bottom like that?
Yeah, they actually pulled a 2 out. I'll show you in a second what they did. All right, so these cancel. This is gonna give you what, 72x cubed, negative right there. And then a 4x to the fourth plus 2, right? It is squared. If you see something like this, where you see a 2 is in all of it, you don't have to FOIL it, but I would do this. I would write it like this: 4x to the fourth plus 2, 4x to the fourth plus 2. What can you take out of each one of those groups? I can take out a 2 in this one, right? And I can take a 2 out of this one, right?
So do you
Everybody see that? And if you can reduce it, you kind of need to. You actually end up being able to take out a 4. So that's what they've done back here. They've reduced by 4 down here and by 4 up here. So you get a negative 18 on the top, and you get a 2x to the fourth plus 1 squared on the bottom. I'm gonna try to make it where it doesn't do that.